All right, let's get started here. Um, Learning check number 18. This is the video, so we can redo this during RTI. Let's start with number 1. This says, find the missing side of each triangle around your answer to the nearest tenth if necessary. And this problem is the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And remember, the c squared is your longest side. In this case, it's the 14.4. Remember, it's always opposite the right angle. So my formula would be x squared plus 11.2 squared equals the longest side, 14.4 squared. Well, I'm using my calculator, 11.2 squared, let's see, it would be x squared plus 125.44 equals 14.4 squared in my calculator gives me, and this is what it would look like in my calculator, 14.4 squared, 207.36. Then I would subtract that 125.44. That's 81.92. And that's what x squared would equal, 81.92. Then I would take the square root. So x would be the square root of 81.92. So second square root of that answer, I get about rounded 9.1 to the nearest tenth. 9.1 to the nearest tenth. So numbers 1 and number 2, Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared is c squared. Number 3, this is the one that gave us a lot of problems. I want to solve for this x, and my formula says that x squared would equal 36 times 36 plus 64. Again, x squared equals 36 times the whole length, 36 plus 64, which is 100. So x squared is really 3600. The square root of 3600 is 60. So that answer is 60. Number 4, very similar. It would be set up x squared equals 9 times 9 plus 16. Or it's really 9 times 25. Multiply that, take the square root. That one comes out to be x is 15. Number 5 is a little bit different. This time you start with the 48. And it says 48 squared is 36 times x. 36 times x. So when you square it, then divide by 36. This one comes out to be x is 64. So again, this is just a pattern. You have to know these formulas. Number 6 is very similar to numbers 3 and 4. So I want to start with this 15. 15 squared would equal the closest one, 9, times the entire length, which is x. 15 squared is 225, so that would be 9x. Divide that by 9, and x comes out to be equal to 25. Let's go to number 7. Different directions here. Find the value of each trigonometric ratio to the nearest 10,000. So that's 4 places. So number 7, the cosine of x. Let's circle the angle x. Cosine, you should know, is adjacent over hypotenuse. You get that from the SOHCAHTOA. So my adjacent side would be this 24. My hypotenuse would be the 40. And of course, this side, that's opposite, but I'm not going to use the opposite. So my answer would be the adjacent is the 24. Hypotenuse is 40. And I want that as a decimal, so 40 divided by, 24 divided by 40 in the calculator would be 0.6. Now 0.6 will work, but 4 decimal places, they put 3 zeros after it. Let's do number 10. Number 10 now says the sine of angle A. So I'm going to circle this angle A. And I know sine from SOHCAHTOA is opposite over hypotenuse. So let's label. Sometimes it's easiest to find the hypotenuse first, that one. Opposite is directly across. So the 12 I'm not going to use. That's my adjacent side. So opposite over hypotenuse would be 35 over 37. So my calculator, 35 divided by 37, 0.9459, and doesn't round up. So 0.9459 would be the answer to number 10. On the back, number 11, find the measure of the indicated angle to the nearest degree. This is where we use inverse sine, inverse cosine, or inverse tangent, because we're trying to find the angle measure. So this angle is the one I'm trying to find. And what sides do I have? Well, directly across would be the 11. That looks like it's going to be my opposite. The 42, that's not my hypotenuse. My hypotenuse is down here. The 42 would be the adjacent. I'm not using the hypotenuse. I can't use that. I can only use opposite and adjacent. So that's tangent. The tangent of this angle, we'll call it x, would be opposite number, which is 11. That's all right. That's all right. No problem.
Thank you. Got this zoomed in, so.
Cool.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Let me pause. All right, sorry for the interruption. Back at it. Tangent of this angle is opposite 11 over adjacent 42. But in my calculator, I need to put inverse tangent of that fraction. So again, in the calculator, second tangent of 11 divided by 42. Let's close the parenthesis. And that gives me 14.67 to the nearest degree. That would round up to 15. So this angle would be 15 degrees. Let's do number 13 together. Number 13, I'm asked to find that angle. Now what angle or what sides do I have? Looks like the 22, that's my hypotenuse. So this angle here, this would be opposite over here. So this has to be adjacent. And opposite's the one I'm not going to use. So which trig function deals with adjacent and hypotenuse? That's cosine. So let's say cosine of this angle x would be adjacent over hypotenuse, 16 over 22. In my calculator, I need to put inverse cosine, 16 over 22. So let's clear it. Second cosine, 16 divided by 22, close parenthesis. 43.34 nearest degree would just be a 43 degree. All right, number 15. Set them right there, please. 15 says, find the missing side, round your answer to the nearest tenth. We're going to use going to use this 69 degrees. And let's label. I think this would be my opposite side, and this would be my hypotenuse, which of course leaves this as adjacent, and I'm not going to use the adjacent. So which trig function would I use? Opposite hypotenuse, that's sine. So I write this equation. The sine of 69 degrees would be opposite x over 18. So what I do here to solve this is the sine of 69 times 18. So in my calculator, the sine of 69 is that decimal, 0.933. Multiply that by 18. 16.80 to the nearest tenth, like I want here. So I just want 16.8, and that's what x would equal. Let's do number 17. 17, I'm asked to find this x. I'm going to use this angle, so 34. Let's label. The x would be the hypotenuse because it's opposite the right angle. This would be opposite over here, and that's the one I will not use. That leaves adjacent. This is the 20. So which trig function? Adjacent, hypotenuse, that's cosine. So I'm going to write the cosine of 34 degrees is adjacent, which is 20 over x. Now a little bit different. Back on this one, my x was in the numerator. So I just multiplied by 18 and got the answer. This one, my x is in the denominator. So what I've taught you to do is put this over 1 and think of it as cross multiplying. So you have the cosine of 34 times x equals 1 times 20 is 20. Then divide. So x is 20 divided by the cosine of 34. So calculator, 20 divided by cosine 34. I'm going to close that parenthesis, and that gives me 24.12. So nearest tenth, just 24.1 would be that answer. So that's how you do 17. That should be the rest of them. Hey, thanks for watching.